It's time to get your morning started with the news you need to know.
News update.
This is what's trending with DJ and PK. Hashtag NBA.
Feeds Tatum into Tristan Thompson. Tatum switches back to the right hand. Drives now on Strus. Gets to the dotted line. Squares and hits.
Spaghetti-o.
It's the night. Jason Tatum finally takes it on himself. Celtics stayed disciplined. 10-point lead on the ball. Pritchard finds Holiday. Holiday fires a three over Tristan Thompson and buries another one. Drew Holiday has come alive this weekend in Cleveland, and the Celtics have their largest lead of Game 4.
Kicks corner right. Holmgren up with a three. Unguarded. Cha-ching! A Thunder money ball. Thunder by 3. 89-86. 3:20 left. Circles and kicks to Dub. Loses it. Gathers baseline. 3 to shoot. Dances inside and dunks! Big two-hand rim rocker. 1:30 left. Thunder 94. The Mavs 91.
The Oklahoma City Thunder beat the Dallas Mavericks. They closed the game on a 20-10 run. They tied the series 2-2. More impressed by SGA getting in there and hitting those mid-range jumpers, or horrified by the Dallas Mavericks missing 11 free throws, including Luka in the final minute when he had 2 to tie and he missed the first one.
Yeah, I mean, they blew it. I think the most impressive thing in that game was OKC's free throw defense. This is some of the best that I've seen. With the game on the line, Dallas couldn't do it multiple times. SGA, yeah, that's what he does. He's a taller Ja Morant. A similar type player, only he's a little taller.
34 for him, and 12 of 23 for the Dallas Mavericks. The numbers that will stick with you. That series is now tied 2-2. Celtics are up 3-1 on the Cavaliers. Donovan Mitchell did not play. The calf sidelined him. Boston goes up 3-1.
The calf or the Cavs?
The Cavs were beaten by Donovan's calf. Well, I don't know if they were beaten. Maybe they would have lost anyway.
But I thought he could do it on one leg. That's what I'd heard for 2 years. He was on one leg and he had 107 points. On one leg.
Lakers star LeBron James sat courtside to watch the Cavs and the Celtics, fueling speculation about his future. He could opt out and become a free agent this summer.
Well, Tyrese Maxey was in Dallas. Why not fueling speculation about his future? How about he went and sat and watched the game?
Aha!
What speculation is? What are you fueling?
Let the tampering begin.
That Cleveland will take Bronny and bring LeBron home.
What? How's that? He's a free agent. How's that tampering?
He's not a free agent yet until July 1st. The letter of the law never applies in the NBA. Everybody's talking.
He doesn't talk. He tells.
You will draft Bronny, and I will come home.
He dictates the terms.
You're thinking he needs to have conversations?
Telepathy.
At this point?
He just stares at them.
Here's what you'll do. That's what his conversation is.
Bronny measured a shade over 6'1" at the NBA Combine and was the second best shooter in the three-point drills.
That's random.
Take that. DJ PK.
Hashtag NFL.
The coverage and blocking units will get a little bit bigger because we're reducing the amount of space we're running in. But from a scheme standpoint, it's been a while, but you might get a couple a year. You're going to get double-digit touchdown return. You're going to see a lot more plays, and I think that was the intention of the rule.
Sean Payton says kickoffs will be taken back for touchdowns with the new rule. Big plays, excitement, people screaming.
What's the new rule?
You don't really want me to break down the kickoff rule.
Well, then why'd you bring it up?
Because Sean Payton says it's going to have an impact. They can't get a running head
Basic
start.
journalism is if you bring up something, you have to explain it.
They're going to be closer together and you don't get a running head start, so the collisions shouldn't be as big.
Who doesn't get a running head start?
The team covering the kickoff.
Okay, but the guy catching the ball does.
He will get one, yes. Detroit Lions have given quarterback Jared Goff a 4-year deal, and it is worth $212 million, $170 million guaranteed. So he's the highest paid Detroit Lion ever, second highest paid quarterback in the league, trailing the Bengals' Joe Burrow, who's at $55 million a year. This is $54 million a year. With the extension, Detroit has committed $444 million to 3 players. What an offseason they've had. Penei Sewell, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Goff all getting deals.
Well, don't scoff at Goff.
And the highest paid defensive back in the league now is Antoine Winfield Jr. in Tampa Bay. 4 years, $84 million in his extension. First time a safety has been the NFL's highest paid defensive back. Money for everybody. Bring on those new TV contracts. Tom Brady will make his NFL game analyst debut for Fox Sports Week 1, the Cowboys and the Browns in Cleveland. And also Week 1 we know is now going to be the Jets and the 49ers. As the schedule continues to leak. Yeah, Monday Night Football. That's the Monday night opener. Full reveal coming up tomorrow for the entire schedule. DJ and PK.
Hashtag college football.
College football national championship game is headed to Las Vegas in 2027. Atlanta, Miami, and Las Vegas the next 3 years. Make your plans accordingly. NCAA President Charlie Baker met with coaches and ADs Monday at this year's ACC spring meetings, discussing, among other things, a potential settlement in the House versus NCAA case that could reshape the future of college athletics. Baker said settlement talks and the revenue-sharing agreement that would accompany any settlement are only a small part of his presentation, and he reiterated there are a lot of moving pieces and no deadline to finalize a deal. Settlement could be $2.7 billion. Enough of this NIL, direct payments. I mean, already there. Schools are the puppeteers, but hey, let them handle it themselves. We're getting closer. DJ and PK.
Hashtag Major League Baseball.
And the bases are loaded for Jake Bowers. The 3-2 delivery. High drive, deep right field. Back goes Reynolds. Grand slam! The Brewers are with the run!
2 balls and 1 strike. The pitch to Stott. Swung on, hit in the air, right field. Going back, Marte to the track. It's over his head, and it is gone. Onto the roof of the Mets bullpen. Bryson Stott leads off the 9th inning with a solo home run off Edwin Diaz, and it's a 1-run ball game.
And Will hits the ball well to center field. This ball heading back. It is going to be off the wall. Betts around third. He'll score. Freeman around third. He will score. And the Dodgers lead it 6-4 on a double off the wall by Will Smith.
That Will Smith double is the game winner. Dodgers beat the Giants 6-4 in 10 innings. George Kirby, 7 scoreless innings. Luke Raley drives in 3. Mariners beat the Royals. The Cubs got shut out, but their star pitcher, Shota Imanaga, 7 shutout innings, PK, and ERA under 1. We talk about it's normal that players come over from Japan and do very well in the major leagues, but this is beyond anybody's wildest dreams. A starting pitcher in mid-May with an ERA under 1.
Yeah, he's doing very well, obviously.
Salt Lake Bees open a 6-game series in Tacoma against the Rainiers tonight. First pitch set for 7 o'clock, and Tony Parks will be on the air 6:50 right here on The Zone. DJ and PK.
Hashtag NHL.
Quick little save made there by Frederick Anderson as Kakko let a low wrister go. Now Nason, he'll drop this back for Kotkaniemi. Drive out in front, rebound, Kuznetsov scores! Well, the bird flew north. Carolina with a 2-1 lead at Madison Square Garden.
Dallas has stifled them in a game and a half here in Denver. Shot, score! Just a floater from the right point. Miro Heiskanen, and it got through.
And the Dallas Stars beat the Colorado Avalanche 5-1. The Stars take a 3-1 lead in the series, on the brink of advancing to the Western Conference Finals. And over in the East, the Rangers miss yet another chance to close out the series. They'd won 7 straight playoff games to open the playoffs. They've now lost a couple. Carolina wins 4-1, and that series is 3-2 now. ESPN has a doubleheader tonight. Bruins, Panthers, Canucks, Oilers. And that is what is trending, brought to you by Shamrock Plumbing. There's no job too big or too small. Get the personal touch with Shamrock Plumbing. Coming up this morning, We are going to Valhalla. Brian Taylor joins us, Real Golf Radio co-host. Get us up to date on the PGA Championship later this week. And Brian Howell, Colorado Buffalo's beat writer for Buff Zone and the Boulder Daily Camera, joins us at 9 o'clock. Deion's second year. Will it look different than the first? How much progress are they making? We'll talk with Brian Howell coming up at 9 o'clock. The question of the day is next, right here on The Zone.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I present...
This is JJ and Alex.
Let's say they do make the college football playoff this year for the first time and they win that Big 12 championship. That will have been 2 Pac-12 championships and a Big 12 championship in 4 years. You don't want to keep riding that wave. You're killing it recruiting. You're bringing in guys. I think the challenge would be, what do you do post-Cam Rising? The challenges remain. A national championship would remain. Kyle Whittingham keeps checking boxes during his career, and everyone says you can't do this, you can't do that. Well, 1 Pac-12 championship is back-to-back. Now he has a chance to win a Big 12 championship. Cross that off the list. What's next? College football playoff, cross that off the list. Semifinal, cross that off.
Catch JJ and Alex afternoons from 3 to 6. Presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hot Takes or Toast is brought to you by Siegfried and Jensen, with 30 years of serving Utah. Mm-hmm. Were you serious with today's question, or did you just want me to say Zach baked Edey?
Well, they're having the combine in Chicago right now, and so you're getting measurements, you're seeing stuff. So, yeah, I think it's a legitimate question. I mean, this is a guy's a 2-time NCAA Player of the Year for the John Wooden. I voted for him both times. His stats against UConn were awesome, and UConn's got like 7 big guys they can throw at you. Seemed like they had an assembly line of dudes, and obviously they had a really good team. The UConn Huskies did in winning it all. I think you can argue strongly that they were better than last year when they won it all. And Edey has played well through every form of test that he's had, but somehow his game doesn't translate because he can't guard the pick and roll. I mean, and every center in the league is just a lockdown pick and roll defender. It's unbelievable when they put those 7-footers out there. Nobody can do anything in this game. That's ridiculous. So, yeah, you got 3 picks, right? I'm not talking about with the number 10 pick. I mean, obviously he would be available if you wanted him there. But then, what is it, 29 and the second pick of the second round? So what's it, like 32?
10, 29, and 32.
Yeah. You have an opportunity to add this guy.
Jazz fans largely not interested. Tony, no, he can't shoot outside 6 feet and he's slow.
That's not true.
We need 3-point shooters.
He can shoot the 3.
Joe, get another useless big guy? And the guy towers over everyone, but he'll let little guards stop the ball. He likes to hold it down at his waist.
Well, then,
Joe, not impressed.
Just hold it up about the chest level and you'll be fine.
There you go.
That's not like a major adjustment, is it? All you got to do is just move the ball up and you're good to go.
Hold it over your head. You're already 7 feet tall. Well, 7'4" in his case. Matt, hell to the nah! 4 exclamation points.
Is he not better than Kessler? Which seems like every time Danny Ray talks about him, he's not very good.
Yeah, he's lukewarm at best on Kessler.
Yeah.
Unless he's just lying and trying to, prod him publicly.
And the good book says don't be lukewarm. Either hate me or love me.
Thou shalt not be lukewarm.
You know what I mean? Lukewarm don't get you nowhere.
Like the 17th
The only place lukewarm is going to get you is television.
Aha!
Because you don't want to offend anybody. You want to be popular to everybody.
Glad you finally realized that.
Yeah, 1994 called.
No, 1984 called. Are you kidding?
Yeah, but you asked me when I realized it.
Oh, you knew earlier.
That's why I said no. I had an opportunity to get a TV job in 1984.
Prescott, Arizona?
And I said, no, thank you. It'll come on my terms. And that $3.45 an hour wasn't exactly appealing.
There are a few people who seem a little interested. Don, well, he's a reach at 10. Mock drafts seem to have him going 15 to 20.
I wonder who isn't a reach at 10, though. Will everyone anyone who they choose, at least minimally, would be a reach.
Well, someone will be projected there, so want to reach, but what you're saying is that everybody's going to be flawed there. And to get what they're looking for, they're going to have a little vision, do a little development.
Yeah, well, I think no matter what, name me a player in this draft that's not going to have to develop.
Right.
So
Wembayama had to develop. Well, not a lot. But they don't come ready-made very often.
Yeah, I don't think that there was much concern there. You know he's going to develop. That's not what I'm looking for. Every player has to develop. If you are the same player at 29 as you are at 19, you're unemployed. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, do you know, or what is your level of confidence that he will develop? Wembayama, 0 concern, 100% confidence that he's going to develop. Brandon Miller, 95% confidence that he's going to develop.
But where the Jazz drafted last year and where they'll be drafting this year, there'll be a little bit of confidence and a nice slice of doubt.
Yes.
And it'll take some time to figure it out.
And that's what I'm saying about everybody in this draft. Right. There's going to be a higher percentage of
guys
doubt
who could be
right at number one.
Guys who could be all-stars and all-NBA, but also could be a bust.
Because that's what you're talking about when you say a not great draft. I don't know that there's such a thing as a bad draft, and time will tell. Maybe there is. Maybe it will be. But you're looking at what level of development will they have. There's no question there'll be rotational players. And what do you anticipate? Like, for instance, when they drafted Hendricks, they anticipate a fair amount of development. And if he doesn't, then that will be a disappointment. They were absolutely 100% excited about having the opportunity to get him. And you can see why. It's a no-brainer. Now, how that pans out remains to be seen. Because then you've got to get guys in your system organization that can help them develop. And then, and as they said in talking with guys when they hired that, what was it? Henshin was his name.
Keith.
I know his name, but his title was...
He was like the team psychologist.
Is that what it was?
Sports psychologist, yeah.
And I remember talking with him, and they said they had gone through a couple of bad drafts where they couldn't look into somebody's heart. And that's what it takes. You have to be a level of obsession to reach whatever your potential is at this level. And I couldn't tell you what Hendricks has. That remains to be seen. We saw with Letter Carrier. He had it. He was going to be a beast in the offseason. And he came back more chiseled and skilled for several years. And so that's something that, you anticipate that you have that. But, what do you got there? And this time with this draft, every single pick that they make is going to be a reach. So do you reach for something that has more of a proven commodity at a lower level?
Do you swing for the fences or do you slap that ball to right field and take a base hit? Because baseball analogies always work, even with the NBA draft.
So you wonder about that. This Edey is somebody who has proven it. I don't think you can doubt his level of production at an extremely high level.
Because he had a high level in college, you can't doubt him? Or you think there'll be a high level?
No, you can't doubt the production that he's had.
Right.
It's not a fluke. You can't say, yeah, but at the college level. I'm not talking about the NBA level. I'm talking about it's history, right? He'll never play another college game. So you can review his entire college production, start to finish, and it's there for everyone to see. You can look at the numbers, all sorts of film, and then they meet with him, they talk with him, they do those types of things, which are important unto themselves. I'm not discounting that. But just looking at his college production, they're now facts. You don't have to say, oh, yeah, but he played in the West Coast, which only has 4 big guys. You know what I mean? At that level, he produced unequivocally. You can't argue it at all. There's no argument. I can't think of any but. We're talking about just college. We're not talking about how does it work the pros.
The last but was have a deep NCAA tournament run. And they were disappointing until his senior year, and that was a good run.
You can barely get any better.
Right? Just a little. UConn is in the way.
One team can only say we had a better run.
Right.
Right. And so big games, pressure situations, high-level talent, guys, and no one's going to be as big as he is. That's just the way it is. So that'll never change. And so you can't say he didn't go against big guys because that dude from UConn is projected to go even much higher than him. And he went up against them. They went up against each other, right? And UConn had a couple other guys they could bring in. So he's proven at the highest level that he's played at to be effective and actually more than effective, star. I'm not saying that that's going to be what it is at the pro level, not at all, at the NBA level. But, man, I got to take a look at the guy.
Zubac's been in the league 8 years. Isn't that a good comp? Zubac, 9.7 boards?
I didn't see him play in college because I don't think he did, so I don't know. I don't know. I was thinking more of Jokic.
Okay. That's just you being funny, right?
No, Jokic is brothers. Big looking mean dudes.
Steven Adams, another big guy who's been in the league a decade.
And I don't think Adams comes close to shooting like Edey has done.
And another big guy, Jonas Valanciunas. And he's played more than a decade.
That guy's a load.
If you can get a guy who's going to play a decade in the league, drafting 15 or 20, which right now, and it may change, but right now that's where Zach Edey is projected.
I think he will be in the league.
But the Jazz to draft him would either have to trade back or trade up. You're not going to use the 10th pick on him unless something changes dramatically. And he's not going to be on the board at 29 unless something changes dramatically.
I don't know that he's not going to be on the board at 29.
I think he might slide, huh?
Yeah, where I saw him the early second. But I mean, what's your mock draft of choice?
Right. And they are going to change because we're still more than a month away.
Yeah. I think they could potentially get him with that last their second pick in the first round. And then if you want him that bad, surely you can move up 3 or 4.
Exactly. If he's really your guy.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of these guys have lasted a long time. They are.
They will. He will.
And he will. And they are, I don't want to say they're role players, but on a really good team, they're role players.
Well, why not?
But why not?
Why wouldn't you say it? What's wrong with that?
Is Steven Adams a little better than a role player or no?
No.
Okay. So you're drafting your 4th or 5th best player, you hope.
But when you put together a team,
you've got to have that.
You need this type of puzzle, this piece, you need that piece. Mm-hmm. And not everybody can just be a star. It doesn't work that way. You're actually not going to be that good if everybody thinks they're a star. You need the Royce O'Neals of the world, which is why he realized that.
He's still in the NBA and he's getting paid. And, yeah.
And he's had an outstanding run for an undrafted free agent.
Not everybody. I just read a bunch of guys, or a bunch of our listeners who are down on the thought of Zach Edey, but David is not. He says Zach Edey has said he can shoot the 3-point shot. Can you see the Jazz with a 7'4" center that can stretch the floor with his 3-point shooting? That'd open the lane all the way to the rim for other players.
And we're looking at you, Hendricks.
Slasher. Need some space.
Did you say slasher or flasher?
Slasher.
Okay.
Slash to the hoop.
Ooh, Yak has some doubt, because I had some doubt.
Yeah, I was questioning for a moment there.
We'll have to review the tape and go to Secaucus.
Do it. Let's go to Secaucus.
And neither of you have been to Secaucus, so you just don't even know what you're missing.
One day.
I sent you on the train into the city, the stop at Secaucus. I took a picture of it and sent it to both of you.
Way to drop a both of yous when going to talk about New Jersey. I like that.
I am who I am.
How close did I get when I was when I flew into Newark? Was I right there?
Oh yeah, your minutes.
And I didn't do it.
It's just another town along the way. You wouldn't even known you were there unless there was a sign. I mean, there's a million towns. He's passed right through them. Yeah, so, right. Obviously, to maximize the talent that Hendricks has, there's got to be some space for him to be able to do his thing, to get where he wants to go. You can't have a bunch of guys jumbled up. That just makes it more difficult for him. He's got to be able to shoot from the perimeter, too. Everybody does. Unless you're some great point guard. But even that, I don't think so anymore. I think you
five shooters. That's what everybody wants.
You look at guys. Can they shoot? That's so important. I mean, to me, that's the number one skill. And there are, minimal exceptions. Gobert. And you have to do, and the more skill you have, the better you're going to be. But thinking of Hendricks being able to have some room to go in there and use his quickness, use his height, use all the skills that he has been blessed with and he's developed himself as something that you want to see for sure. And you want to see George being able to have some room to get into the teeth of the D and to be able to do his stuff.
Hendricks shot 38% from three this season, so as rookies go, that's a good number right out of the gate. Now, obviously, everybody wants that to get better. And once you get to 40, you're golden. But 38, there's other things to worry about with Hendricks.
I don't know that he's had enough. I don't know.
You want a bigger sample size?
Has he played in any game that mattered?
No.
I mean, you go right to the stats, and I got Ainge telling me, and Will Hardy, shut up. That was so sweet when they both said it. Because you've been doing it your whole life. You just go to the stats, and that just proves something to you. When the two guys who are in it day to day, they don't want to hear it.
Right. But I think they're talking about Keontae George and how many points did you score, and was it efficient or not? I think the 38%, you're efficient
sure,
shooting
you can
from
back
the three.
it up right. You think that that's important. I know you do. You don't have to explain it. We already know you think that's important. You go with the internet right in your face, and then you look it up, and then do you think you've got conclusive proof? Case closed. Case of Serato. That's what you think.
Case of Serato?
Yeah. Case closed.
Okay. My Italian isn't very good.
It's Spanish, buddy. And so with
neither is
that,
my Spanish, apparently.
All you got to do is watch the shows, man. If you want to learn Spanish, go home and watch Telemundo. It helps. That's how the people, they learn English when they come over here. We'll just do the reverse. And from many, many countries. That's John Rahm. He said he learned it through TV and rap music. And now he gives all of his interviews in English, and you would think this guy was practically born in the country.
I think he was born in Phoenix, or Tempe, supposed to go into ASU.
Right. When he got there, he didn't know a word of English.
Yeah.
And then he within months, he picked it up, and now you look at him go, and he's out there swearing on hot mics in English all the time. So I want to see him be able to, speaking of Hendricks, be able to utilize all the skills, because if you do that, then that's when you have the opportunity to become somebody. And the Jazz are going to need that. They need players, obviously, it's a big old duh, to become somebody. They don't need specialists. They need great players who can come as close to they possibly can as doing it all given their position. Meaning Keontae George is not going to average 9 boards a game. You know what I mean? That's not who he is. But what he can be, he needs to get as close to that as he can be. Because if he can't and they don't get that, then they're sort of going to be running in place for a while until they make some really significant moves. George showed nice, but do we really know? Is he going to be a big-time player? I don't know.
There's no way to know that.
Is Hendricks going to be a big-time player? I don't know.
Too early to know.
I mean, really, I got nobody on that team right now that I can say is a big-time player. And you can go to marketing, but all I got to do is go to Ainge talking to me about, tell me what they do in the playoffs. The very boss, I got the bosses on my side. You got stats on your side. I got the bosses on my side. And I agree with them. You don't know until they get there and prove it, and then prove it again and again. Because you can't just have a hot series or whatever. That's not greatness. Greatness in this league is defined by years in the postseason. That's greatness. And then when you have that, then as you do your heroics in the regular season, they become more legitimate. But if they're not backed up by anything in the postseason, they're sort of hollow.
So do you think Zach Edey, off what you saw in the college postseason, will translate to that? I mean, it's a different game.
To that level, man, that would be a huge miss. But there have been huge misses before.
And there's, and we've got the guy who say, well, he says he can shoot the three. What about playing the other way? If you have 4 3-point shooters around Zach Edey and everybody's got to stay matched up on the perimeter, do you trust Edey to beat Jonas, Zubac, Adams, or Valanciunas one-on-one in the paint?
Yes.
Because in a college game,
yes,
when you have those Big Ten games, that was just crowd the paint and just try to get as many bodies between him and the rim as possible. Well, in a pro game, if you do that, you throw it out to a guy,
you can't
and he
that.
hits the three.
I remember that's what Dale Brown said about Shaq. He's got to go to the NBA because they're all collapsing on him. He's so much bigger and stronger. The refs are reluctant to give him fouls, and he's getting beat up. So I'm telling him, back when that was somewhat controversial, go pro. Right now,
it's all
not
expected, right?
Right, yeah.
You're done with your freshman year, go.
Yeah, the last game of the season is the last day you took a college class.
But in that era, people were like, well, Magic played 2 years and Jordan played 3. Why would you go after 1?
Right. You remember Dale Brown saying that? He's got to go.
He's got to go.
Yeah. Because of that very thing that you just said. So, yes, to answer the question and the point that you're proposing, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. That would be to your advantage. That would increase his level of talent. Because you're going to have to get a fly, too. It's not going to be you're on the clock, and it's the most obvious pick. Everybody knows it.
Yeah, that's one by Yama.
So you go for it, and you make that pick. Oh, yeah. You're going to, in order to get this thing where everybody wants it to go, you're going to have some studs, and then you're going to have some high-level role players. Jeff Hornacek is a high-level role player, right? You got to have those guys.
Draymond Green, power championship teams. But he can't shoot it. It definitely comes and goes. But he still have power championship teams.
A crucial addition to that team. And he was a second-round pick. So sometimes, and you hear this from pros, scouting pros, too, across the board in virtually every sport, where they say, sometimes we get too caught up in what they can't do. Yeah, and you focus on that like crazy. And you get overblown about it. All right, he can't do whatever it is that he can't do. But what can he do? Because if he can help you, and in case of Green, he can move the ball. You know, like Joe Ingles, when he was at his peak, he can move the ball. He could set guys up. All right, he wasn't necessarily going to do this or that, but, man, what he could do was pretty good. And he helped the team win a lot of ball games in a regular season, and he had some good playoff games, too. But he wasn't going to say, boys, get on my back type of player.
And they didn't have to.
A la SGA or whoever it might be. Anthony Edwards we've seen, Jalen Brunson, guys that we've seen in this very postseason carry their teams.
Well, if you think Edey can do that, if you think Edey really can't be defended one-on-one because of his size, little footwork, a little ability to shoot, I mean, I wouldn't use the term point center, but if you had somebody who was really efficient inside of 10 feet, who demanded a double team, he's going to open stuff up for your shooters. He's going to create for other people.
You're coming around.
Yeah, but can he do that? And then here's the other thing, and I thought you glossed over this, although you agreed with it, so you didn't disagree, but I think it needs to be sold harder.
Okay, what?
And that is, and we don't get to do this, so that makes all of our mock drafts ill-informed, unprepared, but it's just the way the system works. We don't get to do it, and they do, and that is, at the Combine, you get to talk to people. Edey's mindset, does he believe he's going to succeed? How determined is he? There have been examples. It's not a perfect example, but like you, for a while, we had a boss who set it up that you could go over and sit on the old bleachers that they've since taken out and do these 10-minute conversations one-on-one, not about the last game or the next game, but more bigger picture.
Which most of them stretch beyond 10 minutes. They're willing to talk.
They're willing to talk about who are you, what do you want to accomplish, how did you get here, who do you credit, why did you take the path you took, just all the background that we used to get from newspaper reporter features or Sunday night interviews, that kind of, and all that stuff's gone away. But it's still important because you come back and you're like, this Gobert guy, man, he went 27th. He's wearing 27th. He's willing to go to the G League. He's also furious he's going to the G League. He's not telling me he won't go, but when he packs his bags, there's a big old chip on his shoulder. I want to bet on that guy. He's not obviously from Jersey, but he must be from the Jersey part of France, whatever that is.
Tell me more.
And Joe Ingles.
Tell me more.
And Joe Ingles had some attitude. I mean, he was funny. He'd come on the air. He's charming. He'd take a little light, cheap shots at us or kind of mock a teammate, but then pump him up and all that. But there was a drive there. He didn't want to get sent back to Australia. He wanted to make it on the biggest stage.
Yeah.
And so does Edey have that? Is he going to – I mean, the one thing I think you can tell without talking to him is the fact he stuck around for 4 years and he pushed to get to that Final Four. He could have come out earlier. He definitely sets goals and wants to reach them and will push through stuff. So I think you know a little bit of that just by watching the arc of his career. You know, humiliating early exits in the NCAA tournament, but you stick with it and you're in the Final Four and you're in the title game. Okay, so that's good. But like that's what the group had. Now, personally, what does he have? I mean, personally, he didn't check out and go to the pros early, so there's that.
Well, he is. He could have come back.
Okay, but he's played 4, hasn't he? He could have come back for 5.
There is.
Did he play 4, or am I wrong about that? I thought he played 4.
Yeah. But he announced during the season that he was not coming back. Yeah.
Right.
If you recall, in the NCAA tournament, I think it was during Final Four press conferences leading up to it, that he name-dropped Rick Barnes as one of the coaches who overlooked him during the recruiting process. So he had a little bit of attitude there.
You like that.
And I believe, I would tell Yock to play it, but I believe there's some profanity there, which I'm totally fine with. I work with both of you.
We'll bleep you, okay?
I mean,
not a kid, Yock.
You guys, man. So it's like working on the docks with you guys.
I know one thing.
You know one thing? I don't think you know a lot of things.
I know one thing David Locke would say if he were here right now, and that is with the big guys.
Miss him.
How durable? Well, he'll be back. How durable is he? He was durable in college. He didn't sit out games. He didn't miss stretches of games. So I like that. He was playing big minutes his last 2 years. And he was there every night. So the durability thing, you do wonder with big guys. And I've seen some comparisons. A poor man, I said somebody, a poor man's Yao Ming,
yeah,
right? Because he's got the, well, most of these guys we've been talking about are 6'11", 7 feet. And it's why I wonder if he can score one-on-one in the paint against the biggest players. And the best, these guys are all role players on teams that are in the, middle of the league or, 10th best team in the league.
He dropped on live television in a postgame the F-bomb. They thought they knew us, man. They thought they knew we hadn't in our hearts. I promise you they didn't. We are bleeping winners. Yeah.
After what game does it say?
I think it was to get to the Final Four.
Okay.
Yeah. This guy's got a world of doubters. I dare say that relative to the level of accomplishment and awards, there hasn't been in the history of the draft a player doubted like this.
Relative to the awards.
Right. Yeah, precisely.
A 2-time Wooden Player of the... Well, there aren't that many 2-time Wooden Award winners. Most of them take off after one.
And put up the type of numbers that he put up.
Yep.
We're not talking about...
Well, the Achilles heel, though, how well does he move?
24 points on 11 boards, 11.7. 24 and 11.7. My goodness. Do you realize that? If somebody was 6'8", and maybe he looked a little different, they'd be screaming that. They'd be fighting each other to get him. They would have had a party when Atlanta won the number 1 pick, and they wouldn't have led that night on TV with how the Braves did.
I love that in the same segment you ripped me for using stats. You just went right to the stats to make your point at the end. That was awesome.
At the college level, that's what I'm saying. This is over. The pro, it's not over. He had his postseason. That totally went over your head. You sounded dumb to bring that up. That's the whole point that I made. It's a fact now. He did it in the postseason. This is case closed. This goes in the library. It's over. You don't debate it anymore. That's the point I'm making.
Brian Taylor, Real Golf Radio, joins us at the top of the hour from Valhalla and the PGA Championship. Stay with us.
Accessing.
This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G.
Maybe Indiana's a place where you can have metal-piercing bullets. Can't imagine those are legal anywhere. Maybe they are. Metal-piercing bullets? Jeez. What are you facing? What's the guy with a metal suit?
The Tin Man?
No. The guy from Weird Science plays him. Something Jr. He wears a metal suit. And like I was going to say...
RoboCop?
No. It's the guy that wears metal and flies around.
The Rocket Man. Rocketeer, sorry.
We've given you so many guys with metal suits.
You're not close.
I'm sorry. Why are you mad at us?
Yeah,
look
how
Google
did
in
you
front
get
of
it?
Okay. I
Man in metal suit.
Iron Man.
Oh,
How did you guys not get Iron Man?
All the Iron Men I could think of.
Come up with 30 things with guys dressed in metal. 30.
Truth is, I am Iron Man.
Catch Hans and Scotty weekdays from noon to 3 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Band of the day today is Panic at the Disco, and it's brought to you by Live Nation. For all of the live concerts and events in 2024, check out livenation.com. College football win totals are out. BYU 4.5. Utah 9.5. The Cougar fans are more optimistic than 4.5?
Yeah.
That's as low as they go in the Big 12.
I think most teams that are listed at 4.5 are optimistic that they're going to exceed that. And that gives them a huge chip to go to Vegas in just under 2 months. What's today? Today the 14th?
Yep.
Yeah. Zach Edey's birthday is today. And so it's like July 9th and 10th or something like that, 10th and 11th, Tuesday and Wednesday in Vegas. And they should be all sorts of fired up. Because you look at 5 wins last year, and obviously they were right there in the last 2 games against the Oklahomas to win. I didn't win either of them, so did you or didn't you? And the answer is no, you didn't. But they were clearly right there to win those 2 games. And one of them even went into overtime, if I remember right. And so you could argue that this team is it's not worse than last year. Why would it be worse than last year? What would be any reason to think to yourself, this team isn't as good as it was last year? I can't think of one. What am I missing?
Questions at the quarterback position.
They got the 5 wins with Slovis. Is anybody going to be as good as Slovis was early in the year?
Yep. That's the only thing I can really pin it on.
I mean, how good was he? They were thinking about potentially replacing him before he went out.
True.
Okay, so.
But they were 5-2 or 5-3.
They were 5-2.
5-2 and lost their last 5.
Streak, yep.
Yeah, well, I can see, again. You just look at raw numbers, and that tells the whole story. What are the easier games? I mean, you racked up some wins against Chico State, and
don't disrespect Sam Houston State like that.
I just don't look at numbers as they tell the whole story. Zach Edey in college, yes, because it's done. That's the point I was making. You missed that point.
Southern Illinois. Rack up a win.
Once it's done and you're retired, then the numbers tell the story.
BYU, Wyoming. Rack up the win.
I don't see where the team is worse than they were last year. I can argue very easily that the team is better than they were last year.
Is the schedule easier than it was last year?
I mean, I don't have the schedule in front of
Well,
me.
Oklahoma and Texas leaving league, and Texas was obviously very good.
And they blew it against Oklahoma.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda.
So I don't know if the schedule's easier. The schedule's a schedule. I see them as a better team. They talked about how they had young guys and they developed and all, and the offensive line is supposed to be better, and T.J. Woods is the greatest offensive line coach in the history of offensive line coaches. And Ron McBride said it, and whatever I know, Ron McBride knows 1,000 times more, if not 1,000,000,000,000 times more. And so if he's giving him a recommendation, I'm going to listen. And they got veteran guys on the staff, even the non-coaching assistants, a fellow like Gary Anderson. All right. Those guys, they sort of know what they're doing there.
Watch a little film, give you an edge.
Yeah.
Been through it before.
Right. And I think the recruiting has gotten better. So, yeah. We're only talking 4 or 5 wins. We're not talking finish making the Dallas playoff game here in the conference. It's not even a hint of a discussion. We are dealing with some low bars.
Colorado, and we'll be talking with Brian Howell, Colorado Buffalo's beat writer for Buff Zone and the Boulder Daily Camera. Colorado's at 5.5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we'll see if he thinks that's in line. He's coming up at 9 o'clock.
Well, I mean, he's going to tell you they're going to be better than that. I can guarantee you.
Aggies are also at 5.5. All right, DJ and PK, it is time for the Una Golf Major Giveaway. Be caller 12 right now at 801-575-ZONE. You'll be assigned a golfer in the PGA Championship field this week. If your assigned golfer wins, you'll win the same brand of putter that they play, up to a $500 value. It's brought to you by You Win a Golf, simply the best golf stores in Utah since 1971. We'll talk PGA Championship with Brian Taylor from Real Golf Radio next.